Hello, welcome. In this lecture, let us discuss about switch controller in JMeter. The switch controller allows you to choose which part of your test will run during each execution. You can think of it like a TV remote. Using TV remote, you can select only one channel using the channel number. Let us understand how switch controller works. One switch controller will have a multiple test steps under it. It will execute only one of the test step based on the condition. You tell the switch controller which channel or a test step to run by giving an index. Like picking a channel number on a remote, you need to provide an index number to the switch controller, and based on that it will execute the corresponding request. If you have 5 test steps inside a switch controller, you can set switch controller to run a step 0 or step 1 or step 2 and so on. Based on what number you pick, it will execute that particular request. Let us understand why we use the switch controller. The switch controller is useful when you want to test multiple scenarios but only want to execute one of them at a time based on a certain condition. Under a switch controller, if there are 5 different steps, right, and you want to execute only one step based on a certain condition, if you want to execute only one of these requests under the switch controller based on a certain condition, then you can use this switch controller. It helps you control and customize which parts of your tests run without duplicating the effort. Let us understand with a real-time use case. Imagine you are testing an online shopping website which has a different menus. In a JPEG store, we have seen different product menus like fish, dog, reptile, cat, birds, etc. Based on a certain condition, I want to test one of these. If my switch value is 0, this will get executed. If my switch value is 1, this will get executed. If switch value is 2, it will get executed. Switch value is 3, then this will get executed. Switch value 4, this will get executed, like this. Based on the result of the previous request, you can choose which one to execute, right? In online shopping website, you have these multiple product pages. You want to visit only one product page, any one of these, based on a condition, right? If the expression you evaluate as 0, then it will get executed, fish. If it is 1, it's dog, like this, right? Based on a condition, you want to select one of the page. Now let us understand practically how we can implement this. Let me open the JMeter now and let us practically understand how we can use the switch controller. So this is the test plan. I will save it as a switch controller demo. Let me save this test plan. Now I will add the thread group to this test plan, and then under the thread group I will add the switch controller. Under this, inside the switch controller, we need to provide the switch value here, that we will discuss shortly. And under the switch controller, I will add the HTTP requests. Let me open the JPEG store website. Here you can see there are 5 different variety of products: fish, dog, cat, reptile and birds. I want to visit one of this page based on the condition, right? Then what we can do is we can use a switch controller for that. I will add 5 different requests here. HTTP request, we can call it as fish. Similarly, you can add one more HTTP request, we can call it as dogs, and one more HTTP request we can add, this one we can call it as reptiles, and one more HTTP request cats, we can add one more HTTP request under this birds, right? Now I will also add the listener to view the result, also add the summary report. Okay, now these samplers have been added and listeners have been also been added. I will fill up these request details. Before that, URL is common for all this, only path name changes. So I can add the config element HTTP request default home URL. I can add this base URL in this request defaults. Right, now I will add the path name for each of these. Fish, this is the path name. Dogs, this is the path name. Reptiles, this is the path name. Cats, click on cats, this will be the path name. And birds, this is the path name for birds. So I will add here. We have added all the details for these HTTP requests. Now we need to give a value here, switch value. If it is 0, it will execute. For example, I will put value 0 here, right? If I run this now, fish gets executed, right? If I put it 1 here, dog will get executed, right? Similarly, if I put 4, it will execute birds. If I use here 4, it will execute birds, right? It starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? What we can do is, based on the result of the previous sampler, there might be a case where based on the result of the previous sampler, you want to execute one of these, right? In some cases, we might want to execute one of these requests under switch controller based on the result of the previous sampler, right? I will add one sampler here now, that is bean shell sampler. I will move it before this switch statement. I will move it before the switch statement. Now what I will do is, we will randomly generate one number from 0 to 4, and based on that random number generated, it should run one of these requests based on the number. I can do here like int random int equal to, there is a function random in JMeter. You can underscore random 0, 4. Generate the value between 0 and 4. It will generate the value. Now I want to convert this integer to string. String random value equal to string dot value of this random integer, right? I will also add one variable here at the thread group level, config element user defined variable. I will add this value here. By default, this value is 0. Let us set it as 0, right? And we will use this value, that is a user defined variable value. Inside this, I will place this user defined variable above this bean shell sampler. Now we are defining here value as 0 by default. What I can do is, I can use that variable here, value, right? Now since we have set the value 0, it will always execute a fish. Let me clear and run here. You can see fish, it is running. Now what we can do is, in this bean shell sampler, based on this random value, we can set a different value for this variable value, right? Where's dot put, we can say here random value, assign it to value, right? Random value will assign to value here. Now this value will change based on the random value that gets generated, and the same value we are using here, based on this value, it will execute one of this. Let us run now and verify. So there is some issue here. Okay, random, where should put argument value issue. Okay, actually this random value we need to place it here, and here it should be value. Let me save this. I have just changed here, value we need to place in the bracket, that is the variable name, and this is the local variable, it's a random value. This is the global level variable, this we have defined here, value, right? Now we can do one more thing here. We can log the value, log dot info, value equal to plus value. Now we can observe in the log what value is getting generated as well. Just for the understanding purpose, I have changed the name of the variable, that's a global variable, to global var. Initially we will set its value to 0, right? In this bean shell sampler, what we will do is we are generating the random value here between 0 and 4, right? Once the random value is generated, we are converting that integer to string, and then finally the generated random value will be assigned to this global var, right? And the same value we are printing here, right? This is the same random value we can print here. In this statement, var dot put means this random value we are assigning to global var. Global var we have defined here. If it is generating any other value other than 0, then this will change here during the execution. This global var we are using here, and based on the value that is generated and assigned here, it will execute one of these. If the value is 0 by default, it will always execute fish. If the value gets changed here in the bean shell sampler, it will get a new value here between 0 and 4. In that case, it will execute based on the value that it has got here. For example, here I have executed value is equal to 3, and it executed here cats, because 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is cats here, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Now let me clear this and let us rerun and observe the result. Here you can see it is running the cat again because value is 3, right? Let me run again and observe. This time you can see value is 4, that is why it is running bird, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Like this, it can, this expression, this will generate a random value. This random value is generated in the previous sampler or a previous request, that is this bean shell sampler, right? In this way you can use the switch controller to execute one of the requests under it based on the condition. The condition you can specify in this switch value, right? Condition can be the expression you can mention in this switch value, right? And this can be a variable or even it can be a function. For example, I can directly give a function here as well. For example, this function I can use it here, right? Random, for example, so it will generate a random value between 0 and 4, and it should use it here as well, right? I have given a random value generation function here. Based on the value evaluated here, it will pick one of these requests and it will execute. Let us execute and verify now. Let me clear this. Let us execute. See, this time fish, it's executed because value generated will be 0. Now let me run again and verify. This time cat, because value generated is 3, right? Like this you can use. Even though we can use it like this, why I have used the sampler earlier is, in some scenarios, based on the response that you have received in the previous request, you want to execute one of this. For example, you are sending a HTTP request here. If the request is successful, then you want to execute, let us say, fish. If the request is failed, then you want to execute another request here, right? In that kind of scenario you can use this switch controller, right? So now I will do one thing here. I will use this global var itself here. Here I will use this global var variable itself, so that whatever getting evaluated in the previous request, this bean shell sampler, that value will be assigned here, and based on the value received here, it will execute one of this request. Let me clear and let us run again and verify. You can see the cat, because value generated is 3. It will start from 0 indexes, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? In this way you can use the switch controller. I will attach this script in the resource section of this lecture. Thank you for watching.